Welcome and thank you for joining us for our Hybrid Work with Microsoft Teams webcast. I'm your host, Stephen Rose. And today we are doing our Ignite Day 1 wrap up. And I am super excited for my guest today, Miss Aya Tange. Aya is our product marketing manager for our teams, and you folks have seen her in our keynotes and in a lot of our cool on-stage demos. And I'm very excited to have her here today. Aya, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Stephen. So good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. It was a crazy day today, Ignite Day 1. So before we jump in, first of all, take a moment, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Microsoft and for Microsoft Teams.
Sure thing. So hi, everyone. My name is Aya Tange. I'm a product marketing manager for Microsoft Teams. I've been at the company for 4 years now, which is time is flying. And I've been on the Teams business for about 2 years. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been moving very quickly, but it's been great.
Awesome. Well, it was funny because I told people that you were going to be on the show, and I started getting some really interesting IMs from people saying, I've seen her pop up on a bunch of stuff, but we don't know much about her. So I went out on the internet and grabbed some photos of you, and I thought it'd be great. I'm going to share these now for you to tell me what's going on in these photos, okay?
Do I want to know, Steven? I'm a little worried.
No, it's all good stuff. I was very impressed with that. Let's start with this one. What is going on in this photo?
Well, that's me graduating from college. I went to Harvard, and you can kind of see the graduation date. So there's the page as well. But I studied economic sociology and psychology. So I really love studying people and how they think. And so it was an amazing 4 years on the East Coast. But I'm now very happy in Seattle and enjoying the West Coast now.
All right, let's take a look at this next photo. Why do you look like Audrey Hepburn in this photo? It's an amazing photo, but not at all what I expected to see come up when I typed in your name. So what is happening here?
It's not a normal thing, Stephen. So that's the right reaction, that's for sure.
That is my Sunday lounge about it.
Yes, that's actually my robe.
Yes.
No, that was a once in a lifetime experience. I was asked to be it was a debutante ball / fashion show in Paris, which was amazing. So I went out to Paris for about a week, and I got to wear haute couture and more of an amazing designer here, and got to really be a princess for a couple of years.
That's kind of awesome. And then the opposite end of this spectrum are these two photos where you are not wearing any couture or makeup or any of that great stuff, but it looks like you're a bit of an adrenaline junkie. So what's happening in these two photos over here?
I am. I love getting outside and being out and about. So anytime I can do an activity out there, I'm doing it. So I've got dog sledding happening on one side of the screen there, up in Whistler, and went out there with a couple friends. I'm also a big skier, so we went really for skiing, but we also had the opportunity to dog sled, and I had never done that before. So got to do that. Even got to kind of guide the sled, which was awesome with the dogs. And then on the other side, I am paragliding in San Diego. So just ran off a cliff. Didn't have an instructor with me, but ran off the cliff and got to paraglide for the first time a couple of years ago. So yeah, definitely I get to go with my friends and we go do fun activities.
That is awesome. I'm going to stop sharing these now, but
well, yeah, I don't only look at a computer screen. I do try and do some outdoors. You see my bike right here too. So definitely try and get out and about.
It's absolutely tremendous. So really great to see. All right. Well, let's talk about Ignite. Enough about the cool stuff that you do in your bike behind you and all of that. So let's talk about some of our big announcements. So I had a few favorites and some I want to ask you about. Let's talk about the first one, new together mode screens. We're trying to find better ways for people to connect as they start to move into a hybrid workplace, as people are in the workplace and home. So talk about some of the new together mode screens.
Sure. So, if for those who are not familiar, we created Together Mode to really help reduce meeting fatigue and bring everyone together into the shared virtual space. And so we released the auditorium view in July, I want to say.
Right.
But people wanted more, right? It was like, hey, sometimes I have coffee prep, or I want to be in a conference room, and we want to be in an auditorium or classroom setting. So can you help us do that? And so we took that feedback and we said, yep, we're working on a broad range of themes for you. And so that's really where this all came about. So we showcased it in Satya's keynote. I think it's in Jared's and Nicole's as well. So definitely check that out in the past couple sessions today.
Awesome. Breakout room, something we announced a little while ago, and that's been a huge ask for EDU so that they can, and the goal, and the thing behind it is you can either say, I'm going to put these people into rooms, or you can just say automatically split everybody up. The instructor or whoever's speaking can go into those rooms, can join in, see what folks are doing and bringing back. Now, we did announce this a little while ago. So what's the update now that we're at Ignite timeframe?
Yeah, so it's going to be coming out really shortly. Before we announced it, but we really didn't showcase exactly how people could do it. And so that's really kind of the point of today, is to just showcase what is that going to look like for you. And it's coming so soon. And so you'll actually be able to use that, whether you're in an organization, like in a kind of business, or in the education space. So available to all.
Okay, we have some new custom layouts. Presenters can be able to customize the content where, are they going to be on the top or video views? So kind of walk us through this and why this is so important.
Yeah, so we actually built out these custom layouts for larger meetings or virtual events. We know everything's going remote. And so we want to make sure that you have a really engaging experience as the presenter and for the attendees, obviously. And so these custom layouts really help you showcase the meeting content the way you want it to show up. We kind of call it like the weather forecaster view, kind of like what you see on TV. So very similar situation with like that.
Awesome. Meeting recap, where you're now going to get the recording, the transcript, the chat, all the shared files at the end. And this is something that folks have been asking about for quite a while, is can I make it where after the meeting everybody gets stuff? So anything interesting that we added, kind of that we talked about today on that?
Yeah, so that meeting recap is really this whole experience to kind of tie the bow on that meeting that you just had. So you've got everything at your fingertips. It's all in that chat window. And so what we're really trying to do is just streamline that and make it easy for you to find the information that you need. And so that's really the goal here, is to make it quick, to make it easy, to make it simple.
Awesome. Large meeting support. We increased our support for meetings. I know that we now are growing that up to 1,000 participants in a full meeting, and we're going to be scaling that up. And what kind of numbers are we looking for our view-only meeting experiences?
I think we're up to 20,000. 20,000 participants for view only, which is pretty amazing. And so it's just the whole goal here is to make it easy for people to expand their meetings. We know, again, going back to that webinar or larger meeting experience, people need to be able to see and join these meetings. And so we're trying to make it as easy as possible.
Okay. Registration support. So now at the end of meetings, you'll be able to get a list of the attendees. So talk a little bit more about that, because I know a lot of people have said, when is this coming for EDU and for businesses, et cetera?
Yep. So it's coming soon. We're really making sure that we make it easy for you to create that meeting, to send it out to attendees, so that automated email is really important. And then the engagement reporting at the end, so that you can actually see how your webinar or how your large meeting worked. And so we're bringing that all together, and so you'll have that end-to-end experience.
Cool. Meeting extensibility points. I don't think that means a lot for people. So we said, and let me get the wording correct, we're working with our partners with new meeting extensibility ports, so partners can integrate their apps with Teams meetings. So in English, what does that mean for?
Yeah, let me try and kind of demystify that. So we're actually working with our partners to bring in apps into the meeting experience. So ServiceNow is a great example, where they actually are helping kind of the customer support experience. And so you can be on a call, you can bring up that ticket and work on it together live. And so it's really working with our partners to bring in that meeting app right within the Teams meeting specifically.
Mhm.
And so that's a really exciting thing where we can bring all that into a live setting as people are discussing.
And this is so important because this is why we refer to Teams as a platform and not as an app, because we have this, and we'll talk about Power Apps and a lot of things we announced there in a few minutes. But
Exactly.
and this was really interesting because I wasn't expecting this to come, and that's the speaker attribution for captions and transcripts.
Yeah.
This is really cool. So explain what this is for folks, because this is going to make, if you miss the meeting, so much easier to be able to follow it and understand what happened in it.
Totally. It's one of the features that I find very inclusive to all. I use it all the time now, so I can see who's saying what. But it's also really important for those who have hearing difficulties to actually understand who is saying what within the meeting. And we've had live captions for a while, but
Right.
being able to actually see Stephen said this or Aya said this is really helpful. And for me, it's particularly helpful when I'm in a large meeting and I don't know who is saying what, or I'm in a meeting that I don't know everyone, so then I have to kind of look and say, oh, okay, that's the person I need to
Right.
follow up with. So it's a really great way to just understand who's in the meeting with you.
That's awesome. Whiteboard, we're doing some more and newer, deeper integration with Whiteboard and Teams. So let's take a moment and chat about that one.
Yeah, so whiteboard is obviously something that's really important, especially in this virtual world, because you can't brainstorm on a physical whiteboard. But we're adding some new capabilities like sticky notes. You can write on the sticky notes and text as well. And so we're just continuing to add more capabilities to our whiteboard experience so that everyone can brainstorm virtually together.
Okay. And we've updated our calling experience. This was really great to be able to see in the keynotes and such this morning. So talk about some of the new things, because it's awesome and it's horrible at the same time. Let's explain what I mean. I get this all the time. They moved my button. I can't find this button to do this. And then we'd update something and go, oh, where did it go?
I know.
We are very well aware of this. And hopefully now with some of the new UI designs we're going to bring, it'll stop some of that from happening. So talk a little bit about the new calling experience and how we're
So number one is we're simplifying it, right? We want you to have that streamlined view, to have your contacts, have your voicemail, your calling history, all in one, or all on one screen, so that it makes it easier for you to initiate that call or return that call. And so we're kind of doing a lot in that space. We're also bringing a lot of the popular meeting features that you have, in your larger meetings. So that includes, transcription, captions, recording, and even being able to transfer between Teams Mobile and our Teams desktop app. So a lot of these new meeting capabilities, we're bringing it into the one-on-one calls because we want to make sure that you can do that in your one-on-one calls as well.
And that's really huge, because it was odd that we could, if there were 3 people on a call, we could record it. But if I just called you, I couldn't record that call and save it, which could be something really important if I knew you were going away for a week and I wanted to do a quick, meeting with you. And hey, we're be out this week and here's what's important and check this out. And here's a list of everything. And rather than have to call a meeting for that. So that's really cool that we've done that.
Yeah.
These templates is something that we brought out. These are now have gone GA, and these allow us to create teams faster.
Yep.
Did you want to share anything about that?
Yeah, so team templates are generally available, and yeah, to your point, Stephen, it's really about making it faster and easier for you to create these teams. And so you can choose from like these common business scenarios, like event management or crisis response, or an education template. An industry-specific template for that matter, like hospital or something like that. And so all of these have predefined channels and apps and guidance so that it makes that whole team creation not as scary maybe for some folks.
Right.
Really got that kind of backing of this template and hand-holding from us. And then, of course, you can customize it however you like from that template.
That's awesome. I love pinned chats. That has been a lifesaver for me to be able to get those up there. And I know now that we've now added pinned posts. So what's the difference between a pinned chat and a pinned post?
So I know a lot of you are on Twitter. So maybe it's something like that where you can pin a tweet at the top so you don't lose it. So something very similar to that. So if there's a post in your team channel that you want everyone to see, you can actually pin it so that it'll constantly show up And it's easier to see rather than rolling up as more people write. So that's really the best.
We've upgraded our search results, which is great. We now have teams now support up to 25,000 members. And we're offering suggested replies, which is really nice. It makes it easier to say, if it's obvious, like, hey, I updated this, where you can just say, awesome, thank you. And you just click it rather than having to type it in.
I use that all the time.
I have started to as well. But mobile, and I love our mobile app, we've now added something that I feel is a real big game changer, which is offline files in mobile. And this is something we brought to OneDrive and SharePoint a while back. What this allows you to do is if you're working on something or you have some files you want to work on and you're not going to be connected, that you can take those files, take them offline, edit them, work on them in an offline mode. And then when you reconnect, those updates are brought into the team for everybody else.
Right. That's a big customer request.
Yes, it is, because right now you have to be online for all the stuff that you want to do. And that's great until you get on a plane and you've got 8 hours and there's some documents you need to be able to see. So that's going to make it much easier for folks, and they can just go in, click that download button. It'll save it locally. And then as soon as you, now, do you have to click upload it again, or is it as soon as you go online, or is it based on the settings that the admin does?
I think it's actually automatic, but I'd have to confirm on that one. But it could be that the admin might have those settings as well.
Okay. I know we've done some new things with online presence where you have the ability to change your presence for a specific period of time. This is great if you're going to be speaking or you have something going on where you don't want to be bothered. We've now, we announced a little while ago about the rollout of tasks into Teams. Is that moved to GA? Is that where we're at?
So you'll now start to see the tasks app in your Teams client. And it's really a great, I've been really happy using it because it was kind of the connection between To-Do and Planner, and I had all of my tasks or I don't want to say tasks, I'll use another word, all my different to-do things, to-do items in these different locations. So now I can bring it all together in tasks, and so it just streamlines it and makes it easier.
Cool. We saw some really great stuff on first line workers. What were some of your favorite new features that are going to come that you feel are either, evolutionary, really interesting, or revolutionary? Wow, no one saw this coming kind of thing.
Yeah, I really think the tagging by shift is going to be really, really great for folks, because now, you can send a message to whoever's on during that time. You don't have to go, okay, is Aya on shift right now, or is Steven on shift? Who should I be writing to? So really make it automatic for folks, especially, think about it in a healthcare scenario when you really need urgent response. And so it's really, really great that we can use those tags and write to people based on those kind of on-shift tags. So I think that's pretty exciting.
Cool. I know we've added a bunch of new features for administrators. I'm just going to do a top level on a few of these. Microsoft Graph API support for Teams import, the deployment advisor, which I really love, which helps folks that are getting ready to roll it out. The deployment, the ARM64-bit native support, customer key support. That's a really huge one that we've been waiting for, where customers can hold their own encryption key for their data in the cloud. The Microsoft API graph for Teams data, for Teams DLP for the data loss prevention. API for Teams export, and the organizational branding of line of business teams in the app catalog. So, lot there. We made a bunch of announcements, though, about some of the new Power Apps and Power Automate features. Do you want to talk about any one of those? Or are there a few that you were interested in?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about some of them. We definitely made some new improvements and exciting announcements today. Some of them being the new Power Automate app in Teams. We've added some new templates to make it easier to actually automate your processes. You can do everything within Teams. So that's something to definitely check out. And we want to make it easy for you. I don't have a coding background or a dev background, and I can actually use these applications, which is really awesome.
Yeah, like approvals in Teams. This is something that's not that difficult to do, but what's great is rather than have to send out approvals as a separate piece, you can start a private channel, a private conversation, public, etc., and you can say, hi, here are 3. This is who it needs to go to, and then once it gets approved, it moves down. You can track that, see where that's at, add comments. And that's really huge. And I know with Power Apps in general, and this is great, Paul Thurt and I had a long conversation on this. He was absolutely blown away at how easy it is to build one of these low code, no code apps that
Yeah.
you can simply go into SharePoint, create a SharePoint list with a bunch of content, then create an API and pull from that. And someone could say, I want to know how many of this is in our warehouse or stored here. It's
Yep.
available for mobile, it's on desktop, and it all really comes in. So those enhancements
Yep.
that we're bringing in, the usage analytics, the API for the management capabilities, single sign-on, which
Yep.
is so important for so many people to be able to do this because nobody wants to have to go through sign in 12 different times to do something
Yep.
that's supposedly making
For
your
sure.
life easier and better. Yeah, and adaptive cards. What's an adaptive card? I've played with these a little bit, but is there like a good, I know that it's this tool that helps developers to build these really cool, rich cards that give you bits of information.
Yeah,
Um,
the adaptive cards are great because it makes it easy. They'll show up in a chat or they'll show up in a channel, and then you really just can click. You see them in approvals, right, where you say accept or deny, and
right.
so it really makes it easy for the approve, like in this case, the approver to say, hey, no or yes, let's make this go through. So you can think about these cards to give you exactly to your point around like with information that you can act upon. And so it makes it's a more of a user experience from a user experience standpoint. It makes it easy. And so you do it even with like bot, like even now with bots. We haven't mentioned Power Virtual Agents, also I'll quickly touch on that in terms of the fact that you can now create bots right within Teams.
Right.
And actually test them out right within Teams. It's really exciting that we can do all of that on a single platform.
Right. And then somebody hovers over to tells them who that person is, what role, where they sit within the
Yeah.
organization, other communications. So you don't have to do what a lot of us do, which is go into Outlook, type in somebody's name, hit Control K, then put your cursor over it and take a look. And that's who that person is. And that's who they roll up to. Now you can do that right inside of Teams without ever having to leave the Chrome for that.
You got it.
Absolutely. Cool. Teams mobile updates, we had a bunch. Ability to capture images with Office Lens, location detection, image viewer. I love this one, the ability to use device barcode or QR scanner, which is certainly going to make things a lot interesting for our first line workers. Bunch of new developer capabilities, including being able to run Visual Studio Code right from your test device, and some new GitHub stuff. Touchless was a big part of our keynotes. Talk a little bit about this whole touchless thing that we talked about, from room, etc.
Yeah, it's the hybrid workplace. That you'll hear this word being used across many of our sessions today, and it's this whole idea of look, we were all remote, but now we're coming back into the office,
right.
And we know that there's immense value in the office space for employees, and so we need to think about what does that look like for people. We want to make sure it's safe and we can meet safety guidelines, and so what is that? How do we make a touchless experience and support inclusive collaboration between kind of the remote and in-person participants? So we have a couple announcements today. If you haven't seen our keynotes yet, it's around specifically around devices. We've got Teams panels, and so this really makes it easy for you to identify if a space is open to a meeting space is open to use, and it also gives you the capacity notifications. So let's say there are 4 people in there and they're socially distanced and everything is okay. If one extra person goes in, then it's hard to social distance, and so it'll actually warn you and say, hey, the room's at capacity right now. Please don't enter. And so it's really great that we have these sort of experiences to keep people safe. Another one, too, is this idea of coordinated meetings. So the Teams room devices and like a Surface Hub in the room will actually be able to join the meeting simultaneously, even using Cortana, so you don't have to touch anything. And it'll actually avoid any feedback or, that calling sound when people have, multiple devices on and they're not on.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, I hate that noise. But actually being able to coordinate that so it's seamless, one touch join, you'll have your participants on one screen and a virtual whiteboard on the other. So really great experience for those in the room and makes the remote participants really feel a part of it as well.
Cool. I have a few questions coming in from some of the folks who are watching. The first one is, we said this morning that, and I want to quote this correctly, so I went back, 60% of people feel that, 60% of people say they feel less connected to their colleagues since moving to remote work. Isn't Teams supposed to help that and make that better? What are we doing to help to reduce that number?
Yeah, so meeting fatigue, it's the problem right now because we're all looking through these video cameras and it's hard because I wish we were in person right now. But here I am in my home office looking at this little camera on my computer. But one of the biggest kind of innovative things that we've done is together mode. And so that's a way using AI segmentation technology. We've actually been able to remove kind of the distracting backgrounds or the grid lines that we're all in when we're in the square. We've actually been able to remove that, bring everyone into the same space. So your eyes are really just focused on the people now, and you can look around, you can have 5 people, and it really creates a little bit more of that connection. And so that is one just example of saying, wow, we learned that 60% are having trouble. How are we going to fix that as teams?
Yeah.
And that's really just one example.
Whiteboard is another one I think that really helps to get people engaged when they can write or draw or cut and paste or throw in. That can really help to aid creativity. And breakout rooms to get people into smaller groups where they almost need to talk to each other. It's different when there's 20 people in the room. Nobody feels like they need to. If you're broken into a group of 4, it's really hard to get away without chatting. So that ability to have 4 people in their own room, whiteboard chat, and then come back are all things that we can do to help make it a little bit more inclusive and bring that down. Another question came in. What was your favorite announcement or the one that you've been most looking forward to out of all the announcements that we made today?
Such a hard question, it's
which baby is ugly and which one is not? That's what they're asking.
I don't know how I feel about that question.
Is there one that a lot of people said, come on, when is this going to hit? Let's do 2. One where it's just finally available and people have been asking for it, and one that I think you're excited opens up some opportunities. How's that?
So the together mode themes I think are going to be a huge crowd pleaser because I think people really thought the auditorium view was great, but not every meeting can be used can have an auditorium view. So I'm really excited that people will be able to use them for coffee chats, or people will be able to use them in a conference room setting, just to really set that tone. I think that's really going to help people, especially with the meeting fatigue. It's going to be able to bring people together and set the right tone. And so I think it'll help kind of from a mental perspective.
Awesome.
I think breakout rooms is obviously everyone's really, really excited about that one. So I think that's going to be another really important feature that is coming down the pipeline so soon.
Cool. All right, I want to start to wrap things up here, but obviously, myignite.microsoft.com home to go check out all the Microsoft Ignite content, the virtual hub where we have over 150 of these more deep dive sessions that folks are looking for. Is super important for folks to go to because we only have so much content that's live during Ignite as it's happening. The rest of it is all in the virtual hub. The Teams community blog, which you do your monthly blog post, Aya, on what's new in Teams, which we want folks to absolutely check out. And of course, the Microsoft 365 blog at aka.ms/m365/Teams blog. So all of these are great things that we want folks to go check out. There's a ton of announcements. We have a ton of great deep dive content that we want you to go see. I want to thank Aya for joining us today. I know how busy she is with all the announcements and stuff going on. You can find her on Twitter under her name, and that's a great way to reach out to her with questions or send them to me and we'll forward them. So that is our wrap up for day 1. Awesome stuff. This Friday, we have our wrap up for day 2 with our very special guests, Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. So we look forward to you joining us. Of course, as always, send us a picture of your team setup or your cool desk setup. Maybe we'll send you out some cool team swag. And follow me on Twitter at Stephen L. Rose. We will see you on Friday for our Ignite wrap-up show. Thanks for joining us.